the Scarletlolo Cooking Show. Welcome. Buckwheat is a short-season crop that grows well in low fertility or acidic soils. Common buckwheat was first cultivated in inland Southeast Asia, possibly around 6000 BC, and from there it spread to Central Asia and Tibet.
Hello and welcome to the Scarletlolo Cooking Show. Today we're making something called buckwheat slice, and it is not my recipe but Siou's, who's my friend here in New Haven, and Siou has been making this recipe for a long time, I believe.
Yes. Hi everybody. Now when I became a vegetarian in the late 70s, somebody gave me the Cranks recipe, which I really recommend for basic vegetarian, and it's a Cranks recipe. And it's really simple. That's what's great about this, and it's also vegan. We're going to put a bit of cheese on top, but it could be a vegan thing easily.
The ingredients today: we have buckwheat, we have onion, grated carrot, grated cheese, rapeseed oil, lentils, red lentils, parsley already chopped up. We've got some bouillon and some rosemary, which could be powdered or you can powder it yourself. And we've got nutmeg, yeast extract and optional black pepper. Tools, very simple: pan and a Pyrex dish, spoon and a spatula. Alright, let's get cracking. So the first step is we're going to toast our buckwheat. We're going to do that in a pan, dry. Okay, so we leave the buckwheat to heat for 4 or 5 minutes, and then we start moving it around. And I'm going to give that job to Siou, as she's here to help me and it is her recipe. I'm going to do the onion.
You can buy kasha, which is already toasted buckwheat. A lot of Middle Eastern recipes use kasha. So if you buy kasha, you don't need to toast it. This is untoasted, so that's why we're going to toast it. It's much more tasty, and there are lots of reasons which you can find out online, I'm sure, about.
Whilst the buckwheat is roasting, I am going to put the onion in a pan with 2 tablespoons of rapeseed oil. So in goes the onions.
Shortly followed by the carrots. So we're going to cook those carrots and onions nice and slowly so that they become really soft and golden. You don't really want to be cooking onions fast. You want to try and get as much flavour out of the onion as possible, and that's why it's really worth doing them nice and slowly.
So do you think the carrots can go in now, or should I wait a moment?
No, that'd be lovely in there.
Yeah, okay. In my kitchen, any pan or tool that's used for things like fish is not to be used for vegetarian ingredients. I like to keep my tools separate. So anything that's being used for fish, for example, got a special place. So there's a red pan and there's a spatula that's only to be used for fish.
This buckwheat's turning nicely golden. It's green originally, and you don't want it to be burning, so I'm just keeping it rolling.
Looking quite nice. So the onion and the carrots are sauteing really.
Yeah, for sure. Let's let it bed down for a little while without stirring it, just for a couple of minutes, just to really. It's that simple.
Okay.
If a child could do this, the longer you cook the onions at a low temperature, the nicer they'll be, and the more flavour they will be. If you tend to cook onions at a high temperature and they get a bit brown, you don't get the full flavour.
a bit
you don't
sticky.
Want them to go brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll start. Personally, I do it a little bit longer.
Okay. Let's leave them in a little longer.
Just keep moving.
We've done probably, I don't know, what do you say? How long have we done them? 5 minutes?
5 to 7 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Depends on, of course, how high your hob is.
Yeah.
You've got it at a nice low, which is what I like to do.
Okay. So whilst the onion and the carrots are sautéing, the buckwheat is beginning to brown up nicely. So the buckwheat is toasted dry. We're not adding any oil, we're just toasting it.
Right, this is ready.
I think this is too.
So you can see that the buckwheat is nice and brown. You don't want to overdo it, so I'm going to take it off. I'm going to take the whole pan off the lid and just let it cool a little.
At this point, we're adding the buckwheat and the lentils to the onion and carrot.
So you want to get the stock in nice and quickly, and you've got 1.5 pints of vegetable stock.
Now we're adding the vegetable stock. A pint and a half are now going in to soak the lentils and the buckwheat.
And I would cover and simmer. Keep all the goodness in there. The water will absorb the lentils and the buckwheat, and then you'll end up with a different consistency as the grains thicken. Buckwheat's very clever because it's not a grain. It's actually a flour, which is really magical. So if you have problems with grains and you've got wheat allergies, then you can, it's not wheat. It's called buckwheat. It's quite confusing. So it's a great thing to eat because if you've got wheat allergies.
Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. So wheat allergies, it's called buckwheat, but no wheat in it.
No.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
We're now adding a teaspoon of Marmite or something similar, a yeast extract. Okay. If you like, you can put the yeast extract with the bouillon and mix it in that way, or you can add it at a later point. Now the rest of the ingredients, the nutmeg, the rosemary and the parsley go in, although I could have added them earlier. I could have put them into the bouillon, but you can see it's a really simple, quick recipe.
And of course you could have used fresh rosemary. It's always good to use fresh herbs in my view. So you could use fresh rosemary as well as the fresh parsley, but we're using dried rosemary here today. And you can buy it powdered or you can buy it chopped. But Scarletlolo, she powdered it herself.
If I use fresh herbs, I add them a little later.
Yeah?
Because
No,
the
absolutely.
parsley, something like parsley doesn't really want to boil
No, absolutely.
that much.
You can use that, put that in later, absolutely. Yeah. So as you can see, we've turned the heat down, we've covered it, and you want to be reducing now. So but keep an eye on it every now and then because you don't want it to stick. And what you want is a nice low heat so that all of the solid things can be absorbed by the water until you end up with a kind of cake mixture consistency.
We've moved the pan to a smaller burner on the cooker so that it just simmers, not boiling.
Wow.
Right, we now have to get out a Pyrex dish. And we have to grease it. Quite often I use the paper of the butter to grease my dish. Only because usually you can't get all the butter off, and then it's just as easy to do this. Now today we haven't got enough butter on there, so I'm also gonna add a little from butter block. It also keeps your hands clean.
I wanted that.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's because our mothers taught as well.
Yeah, it is definitely because our mothers taught us well.
Always keeping the buzz around.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Good. So this is looking nice.
Oh, we're going to put the parsley in next as well.
Sue, you're going to show me what the consistency needs to be like. So I'm going to lift the lid here and
here it is. So I've just got a spatula. I'm just making sure things. Oh, it's starting to stick a little there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of water because that half hour isn't up. Now, if the half hour had been up and everything was like this is the perfect consistency. It's a bit gaggy, sorry. So Scarlett, just pour a little bit in. Perfect, stop. Lovely. I would say that might be enough. How much longer have we got to go?
we've got 10 minutes.
Let's just do that. Put a bit more water. I'm going to put the parsley in there as well. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So we'll just see how that goes, and I may need to add more water.
10 minutes to go.
Lovely.
The mass has been boiling for half an hour, and because it's Sue's recipe and Sue is the expert, I'm going to let her taste. So we've prevented it from sticking to the bottom of the pan by stirring and checking every so often and adding some water when it was getting too thick. So Sue, do you want to have a little try?
I'd love to. And just what Scarlett said about the thing about it's all to do with the ingredients, you know, and it's to do with the pan that you use. So just, although it says half an hour to absorb that and to cook, you just need to keep an eye on it, even though it's really simple. That's just, so that buckwheat's got to be cooked. That's lovely.
So what's the texture like now?
So it's a bit like a nice thick soup.
A thick soup with a little bite.
Yeah. It tastes great.
Right, and at this point we're going to add it into the pan. So do you want to help me and
I'll just
with the
that.
Yeah. Right, make sure you get the last bits out of the pan, and then we distribute it in the Pyrex dish. Now we're going to add some cheese on top, but if you like, you can also put some
Sunflower seeds.
sunflower seeds
I
on
love
top.
sunflower seeds on things, and it gives it a bit more texture. So to be quite honest, although it's not in the Crank's recipe, I add the sunflower seeds and the cheese and the sunflower seeds make a really good texture.
When you add the parsley and the nutmeg and the rosemary, you could add as much pepper as you like. This is ready for the oven.
Okay, so we're going to bake it for half an hour. So you do it on the top for half an hour and you do it in the oven for half an hour. So that's 200 degrees, or if you've got a fan assisted, 180.
Right, in it goes.
Look at me and the off she takes.
Right.
Having a little.
What are those fish called? Cleaner fish.
Oh yeah.
Sucker fish.
I'll be
Cleaner
a
fish.
vegetarian cleaner fish anytime.
The timer just went and the buckwheat slice should be ready. Let's have a look. That looks lovely. We used red Leicester cheese. It's quite orangey, but it smells gorgeous. Make yourself a nice buckwheat and lentil slice. And if you like the show, please don't forget to give it a like below. For now, it's goodbye from Sue and myself. Bye-bye. And here it is, the buckwheat and lentil slice with a side salad, tomatoes, cucumber and lettuce, and a small Moroccan carrot salad with plum. Yummy!
When you subscribe, you can get notifications, so you know whenever there's a new show. Give it a go with Lolo.
Yeah!